Foods with Victoria. Today I have some special guests with us today. First, next to me is Miss Maya. I have Chef Stan, one of my mentors, and I have Marcus, Maya's brother. Today we're going to be working on one of Chef's favorite desserts from his cookbook. Chef, what are we going to be making today?
We are making biscuit de roulade. So it's also biscuit à cuillère, which means ladyfingers. Originally ladyfingers, instead of piping like we're going to do today, they were made with spoons.
Okay.
So it was a spoon batter. And so biscuit is a name for cake. It's also for cookies in France. So in the 14th, 15th century, in the Duchy of Savoy, these ladyfingers were invented, and they became known all over the world. You know, so Savoy in Italy, Savoyardi. In Australia, sponge fingers. They don't need that romantic notion with their food. And they're very popular all over the world. They have different names, but the preparation is the same. So what I love about this preparation, no butter, very light, and it's good for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And I've eaten it in all those.
Okay.
So I learned this recipe in the 70s, the 1970s, not my 70s. And I made it the same way for probably 40, 45 years. And I was the pastry chef at the Sun Valley Resort.
Wow.
And we had a lot of French interns there and a lot of French staff. The food and beverage director was French, so we had a lot of 18-month visas from France. And I was learning as much from them as they were learning from me.
Okay.
And we were making the cake one day the way I learned it 50 years ago. And this kid out of school from France that knew 10 English words goes, and he showed me the way they do it now.
Okay.
So in the old days, we used to take half the sugar with the whites and make a meringue, half the sugar with the yolks and make a foam. Put those two foams together, then fold in the flour. So you needed two mixing bowls, so that meant maybe washing one, putting the other in. What a hassle.
Yes.
So now we make the foam in one bowl, one quick swoop. You can see we have the egg whites in the bowl. We're going to mix the sugar in slowly to make the foam.
Okay.
We're going to add the egg yolks to that, because once the foam is stable, it can handle the fat. Just like a chiffon cake, you pour the melted butter in after that foam. So we need to maintain that foam. We're going to create all the air cells in the egg whites, create this stable foam with air pockets that are going to make this thing rise, because you can make things rise with just air. That trapped air will expand, the cake will rise.
Okay.
So it's very exciting to me. I love it for its simplicity, not for its complexity.
Okay. Now, Chef, what do you have in the bowl right now?
We have 6 egg whites.
Okay.
We're going to start slowly. I know it's a temptation to just get it going and give it as much muscle as you can.
Yes.
This is not a race.
Okay.
We're going to nurture this egg white to get the best. So we want them at room temperature so they'll actually reach their full maturity or their peak foam.
Okay.
So we start slowly. When the eggs get a little chartreuse, we'll start adding a little sugar. As the foam builds, we can continue adding sugar. And we're looking for a soft peak.
Okay. So the meringue, you're adding the egg whites. We're going to make that's going to become our meringue, and then you're going to add the sugar.
Add the yolks.
Add
The sugar is the stabilizer for the meringue. So
Okay.
I guess you could say whipped egg whites without sugar would be a foam, not a meringue. Once you have the sugar in there, then it's a meringue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
And we can meringue.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's turn this up just a little more, increasing.
Okay.
And I never mix on high speed with egg whites. It's a
Okay.
slow, easy build. It's not a race.
All right.
So you can see they're starting to get it's getting a little foamy, and the color is changing from neutral to greenish. Can you see that?
See it? Yeah.
So take a look. You see how it's changing? And if I turn it up a little more now, that's going to accelerate. I want to get a little more foam before I begin adding the sugar. I'm going to add the sugar gradually. Sugar has a huge, we count it as a water in a lot of recipes. It's considered water, even though it's solid in this form. But when it dissolves, it's liquid. The sugar will absorb all the egg whites, water. Egg whites are about 87% water. If you put the sugar in now, the sugar is going to absorb the water, and the meringue won't
Come together.
be successful. All right, so now you can see we have a foam.
Come on, closer.
I just want to loosen this.
So it starts off as a white, and then there's foam on top of it. And so when you see that bubbling up more, then you can slowly go ahead and add it.
I think this bowl must have been a little wet.
Oh.
So we'll add the sugar very gradually.
This part out.
You can see
You
here,
got it.
the sugar got a little wet.
Yep.
It's going to get wet in there. I'm not worried.
Water and
Okay,
water.
so now you can see it even foaming more. So I'm going to add a little more sugar
Can you see it?
and just continue adding gradually.
Okay. Slowly.
Almost streaming it in. What I do in production, I have a big sheet of parchment paper and I just stand here like a funnel and just let it stream slowly.
Okay.
Production and home are quite different, but the principles are exactly the same.
And Marcus, have you ever made any meringue before? No.
Well,
This is a good
you know what
lesson we're
meringue
learning.
is, though. You've had it, right?
Have you
Have
ever?
you had candy meringue? Like peppermint or just a plain meringue? It's just almost... No, it almost dissolves in your mouth. It just...
Oh, no. No.
Yeah, it's very, very light.
You're in for a treat today. Try it now.
In Christmas, we can take this same roux log and make it look like a Yule log, a Christmas
yeah.
log, and use the meringue mushrooms.
Okay.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so I'm going up a little more, and I'm going to accelerate how fastly, or the rate of the sugar addition. But not too fast.
Okay. Isn't that cool how it looks?
And when it's a soft peak, it will be glossy, satiny, with a sheen to it.
Yes.
And it will hold a very soft peak, like a stiff peak would be like this.
Okay.
A medium peak like this, and a soft peak is kind of like this. And we want that soft peak because if it's too stiff, we can't fold in the flour.
Okay.
And it's that way for mousses and everything. If it's too stiff, it's not going to be successful.
So for cakes, we normally do like a soft peak with it mostly?
I do.
Yep.
And for mousses.
And mousses
For
too.
meringue, a
Yeah.
stiff peak.
Okay.
This is taking a little bit of time.
Slow and steady when it comes to baking. Lots of patience.
So we are at about 3/4 speed
Cool
now.
though, huh?
And I'm just a little concerned about this one. Now it's starting to respond. Okay, good. You can see the pleats in there now. You can see the lines from the mixer. So that means we're getting something. It's working.
Thickening up.
And now you can see it beginning to get glossy. See that shine? And if you look around the perimeter of the bowl, you can see a lot of bubbles still that are being incorporated. Like when you worked in a bakery, you would make this every day. And once you make something every day, like for 3 years, you're a master. You understand it so completely that it becomes part of you. And you become part of it. It's hard to explain the relationship you develop just between egg whites and sugar, but there is a relationship here. We're communicating.
Eggs and sugar are the foundations for most things, so yes.
Most things sweet, yeah.
Most things sweet, yes. Can you see that? Isn't that cool?
Can you take
Kind
that,
of looks like a
Marcus?
wedding dress, right? Thank you, Marcus.
So I'm going to give it just a little boost. And you can see the pleats are getting thicker now. So let's check the peak. Now,
It's cool how fast it
I
comes
think
together,
it needs
right?
to go just a little more. That's my guess, but checking it is the way to really know. So we'll take this
Woo!
and we'll turn this up. That's a soft peak. Okay.
Kind of like the Whoville Mountain.
And I mean, really, it's just egg white and sugar that has transitioned, and you were part of it. It's so cool.
Right.
So we'll add the vanilla now so that it can get mixed in, and I'm going to add the eggs on very low speed. I don't
Okay.
want to break the meringue down. The meringue is quite stable now, so even when we fold in the flour, it will keep that stability.
Okay. Now, do you do one egg yolk at a time?
Not really.
No.
I let it go a revolution or two. I don't wait for them all to get worked in because I can assist that with the folding too. So right now they're really only spinning in on the top.
Yeah.
And this is the way we do it in a bakery. We
Yep.
use our fingers. We wash our hands 100 times a day, which I'm going to do right now.
Yep. Anytime with that. Cool, huh? Now this is gonna turn into a cake. So we'll dump it in like before, like dump it out, spread it out, and then we'll bake it really quick.
Okay, I'm just gonna lift this just a touch, just to spread that egg.
So-
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. A little flour.
Okay.
And right now you can see there's some yolk still visible.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna,
Tell me when.
a little more.
Okay.
Go, a little more. That's good. So when I fold, I'm going to cut down the center of the bowl. I'm going to
closer.
clean this side. I'm going to rotate and lift that over.
Okay.
When we get a clean bowl, I'd like to really get into the folding technique because
Yeah.
it's
A lot of people don't know. So the joke with the Schitt's Creek is the mom and son are. The recipe says to fold, and they're both looking at each other like, "What does fold mean?" So I really would love to hear the definition of what is folding.
I want to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm scraping this off because there's a little bit of flour buildup on it.
Okay.
Normally, in a batch this size, I would use a red-handled spatula and fold it and not get down in there. Big batches, this is really necessary. We just don't have that spatula. Okay, a little more. A little more. When you do it, try to get it right on top. Too.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go down the center, cut this, clean the side, and fold that over. Give the bowl a quarter turn, down the middle, clean the side, fold it, lift over, maintaining the integrity of the foam. Sometimes I'll just do a complete go down to the bottom, but it's always lifting. It's not semi-stirring.
Okay.
More? We can both work there, right?
Yeah,
We've done it before.
we have. Go way back now, Chef, don't we?
It's a long time.
Chef was my freshman year in college, Johnson and Wales. In October, we had this big bread bake because of Hurricane Sandy, and we all, a bunch of students, quite a few chefs, Chef Miskovich as well, and we made bread to donate to those who were hit hard with Hurricane Sandy.
Okay, so when I pour this, I know most people just dump it in the middle and spread it, but I take the lazy way and I go down,
Okay,
and it's almost spread at that point. where
that's
it's
pretty.
You see how stable that is?
Yeah.
I mean, if you took eggs and did not whip them and just mixed egg, sugar, and flour, it would be runny. This one's very nice. I know a lot of people are probably going to have never seen a pro baker work, so my hands are probably going to gross them out, but
You got to get in there. You got to clean
just
the
forget
sides.
you saw it.
Yeah.
When you go to a bakery, just know they wash their hands 100 times a day. I'll be right back if you want to begin spreading that, Victoria.
Sure. Okay, so an easy way for me to spread things, you can go either way. You can go side to side, long ways. You guys can come on closer. I swear I won't bite you. So, and you want to make sure that you don't deflate it as much too, perhaps, right? Because it is aerated. So Chef Sam will nicely clean it up. So you want to make sure it's even on all sides.
And always check the corners. The corners are where it's likely to be a low spot.
Mm.
Why is that?
Technique. I'll say for me, it's a low spot. I always have to go back and check the corners. It's probably just because it's a turnaround.
Now we can pop it in different corners now.
Well, I really like this little mixer. It's so nice.
That nice color it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I just like, I have a hard time making things level due to vision. So this is really helpful for me. It's like a trowel. And even though this is the offset spatula, I always go back and I just touch it up with this. And
Yeah.
this is, I mean, you do what you have to do.
You can see here it's not level.
Right. So you'll go around a few times, go around the sides, but then you can bring it, you see where it's low, and you bring it from where it's high. But another thing, it's going to in the oven, it's going to liquefy before it bakes too.
It's going to liquefy? What do you mean
well,
by that, Chef?
it's not going to liquefy, but it's going to ooze a
Ooze
little.
a bit. Okay.
It's going to settle just a touch. I mean, you can't put all the cake here and expect it to spread there, but it will make some repairs.
Okay.
So what I do is, because I know I have difficulty with the corners, I always come back and just touch them up a little. And quite often, and you'll probably see it on this one, my corners are too thick
High.
as a result.
Okay.
But the thing is, you can sit here and play and play and play with it and make it perfect. Your foam is going to deflate.
Right.
So now we'll put it in the oven.
Okay.
The oven is heated to 375.
375. And how long do you normally keep it in the oven for?
A sheet like this in a professional convection oven takes 6 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
In a home oven like this, I'm expecting 10.
10. Okay.
We want it to be light brown, barely spring back when touched, the edges just moving away from the sides of the pan. We will show that.
Okay.
But right now, I'd love to demonstrate folding if we
Okay.
could get that hand spatula,
Yeah.
handled spatula.
We'll come on back and we'll show you how to fold.
Okay, so the proper way to fold, this is super serious. You go down and you cut, you make a bowl. You bring this edge to the side of the bowl, you clean the side of the bowl, and you flip that over.
Okay.
You lift it. Quarter turn, cut, clean, fold. Quarter turn, cut, clean, fold. I see a lot of people just doing this.
Yeah.
That's folding. It's
Okay.
not excellent folding.
Okay.
Your cake is only going to be as good as you make it.
Right.
It's not going to just magically happen. So the more precise you are with your folding, the more volume your cake will have, the more tender it will be, the more open crumb, which means it's a sponge cake. So
Okay.
you want that open crumb.
Okay, so the cake just came out of the oven.
It's hot.
All
You can
right.
see, this got a little done, and I'm sorry, but you can see how it springs back. It's releasing from the edges or from the perimeter.
Perfect.
So we'll coat this tray with powdered first.
All right.
Oh, what a mess.
Sugar, sugar. Yeah, we'll clean it up later, right? That's the baker toss. You don't understand how difficult sometimes just to
Okay,
spread
so
the flour
hot
can
pan.
be. So you cut with the paring knife, you traced around the pan
I
edges.
go around the perimeter just to loosen it.
All right. 1, 2, 3, flip.
That's hot.
Woo! Wow. Beautiful.
Oh,
Okay, the trick, or the technique, it's not a trick, I'm tired of that word, to remove the parchment without damaging the cake. You can either do it this way or the long way.
rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Pull down as you pull back,
Okay.
and it will release easily.
Don't worry.
And that's it. So, there we go. We'll let this cool. We'll
Okay.
spread jam on it.
Perfect.
With the cream, add the lingonberry,
Okay.
roll it up, and then we can cut it.
Okay.
And then we can eat it.
Yoo-hoo! You guys ready to eat some?
Yeah, so make a little number
All
at
right.
the end.
Okay.
Okay, so now the cake is ready. It's nice and cool. You can see that spongy texture I was talking about, all those little pores.
Okay.
So to make it a little nicer, or to make it as nice as it's supposed to be, and so we can have a snack.
All right. Trim off the
And you
edging.
can see the interior of the cake. We're going to trim these edges. Now, I will tell you, there are some times of the year I don't trim.
Okay.
Like for the bûche de Noël, I want to make those cakes as big as possible.
What's a bûche de Noël?
Bûche de Noël is the Yule log.
Okay.
It's a log that looks, so it's a cake that's rolled,
Well, like
looks
a
like a
log.
log.
Okay.
And you put, like we dip cherries, maraschinos, you know, that have the long tail.
Oh, yeah.
We dip those in chocolate.
Okay.
And then put 2 little red dots for eyes and 1 for a nose and little almonds for ears, and the stem is the tail. And then we make those meringue mushrooms
Okay.
and sprinkle cocoa on them so they look like dirt.
Ooh.
Okay, so now we have this.
Okay.
We will take a little bit of the jam. Today we're using lingonberry. I really like preserves as opposed to jams for these. They just spread a little easier. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the cake and spread it around.
Okay. You don't use too much. More of the cake is the essence.
I just want to get a little bit of it in there. So we heated it so we could spread it, and now you can see we'll try to get as much coverage as we can. That's going to be in the cream, so the flavor is going to come through. This is just a barrier between the cake and the cream. Not that we need one, but it's also gives a little bit of definition. Just as you know, like when you eat some desserts, like say some ice cream. If you're eating chocolate and vanilla, it's one thing, but if you eat French ripple, then you're getting those bursts and those pockets. So when something is marbled, you get pockets of flavor, which I really appreciate. Can I have just a little more of this?
Sure thing.
Just right out of the jar. I thought it would be more spreadable.
No worries.
It's the first time I've used this particular brand and style. So we're learning
True. Every day.
every time.
Every day.
Well, I will honestly say, and this is not an exaggeration, if you're attentive, there's a lesson in every bake. Okay, let's whip the cream. We're going to put that in the cream to sweeten it.
All right.
So we have the bowl in the refrigerator,
Yep.
getting cold, which is where it belongs.
Yes.
The bowl in the whip, cold. The
And
cream, cold. Give it a little shake. This is heavy whipping cream. Make sure it's heavy whipping cream. You need cream with a 36 to 40% butterfat content to really whip.
Okay.
There's whipping cream is not the same as heavy cream.
Okay.
It has a lower fat content, and even though it's labeled whipping, it does not whip as well. So this looks, I can just tell by the pour.
The viscosity is thicker.
Yeah, it's really good. And one thing I love to do with whipped cream is really
Eat it?
whip it by hand.
Oh, you do.
Oh, I love it because it's so tactile, and
Want to see how that's
you're more just like folding. You know, when you feel what you're doing, even though it's at the end of a whisk, you can feel that surface tension, you can feel the body, and you're communicating with it again.
Okay.
So we'll get this mostly whipped, then we'll sweeten it with the jam. If that's not sweet enough, we can add a little powdered sugar. I always prefer powdered sugar in whipped cream to granulated. It's my preference, it's not scientific, but powdered sugar is 3% cornstarch. Sugar is almost all water.
Okay.
So once that crystal has broken down, it might dissolve more quickly. The cream might break down more quickly. It seems a little more stable with that cornstarch in there, to me.
And do you think it blends smoother too because it's not granulated? Because it's powdered, it blends a little
If you
smoother?
add it towards the end, absolutely.
Okay. Melt in your mouth.
Okay, so we can get this going a little more. And again, this is gentle,
Yeah. Nice and easy whipping cream.
efficient. Do you guys want to try the cake and tell me what you think?
Maya has an egg allergy, so she won't be able to eat
right.
it. But Marcus can let us know what he thinks.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, glad you like it. Relieved that you like it.
Woo.
Yeah. Even if you don't like it, say it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to go up just a little more.
Look, he's going back for more.
So if you remember, keep the bowl and the whip in the refrigerator until you're ready to whip. Keep the cream there. A lot of times I'll have the cream in the bowl in the refrigerator so it's together. And a lot more cream than we need.
So when it's colder, it whips faster too?
It whips better.
Better. Okay. I'm okay, thank you. I'll eat more later.
And you know, when you buy
That's okay,
cream
don't
in the
worry.
supermarket, you never know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So I used to buy, when I had my bakery, I bought it from the farm. 54% fat, contained in glass jug. You turn it upside down, nothing comes out. There was a plug, a cap about this thick in the neck, and it was clotted cream. And in French, it's called crème double.
Creme brulee?
Double cream.
Okay.
Double. And so
Marcus, you can come back over.
they take that and they use just all the clotted cream from all the jars and make a special ganache. And that was what the bakers ate.
Oh, that sounds good.
Okay, I see a little bit of machine on my hand.
Do you guys see it? See how it's thickening up already?
Yeah.
Pretty quick too. Pretty
And it
ribbons too.
smells very good.
Yeah. So, chef, on the bottom here too, it's.
Well, we'll show that when it comes out. But yeah, yes, go
I
ahead.
just want to talk about it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Underneath the cake as well, we have regular powdered sugar and we have some granulated sugar as well. So, what was the difference between the sugars? Why you liked it?
Well, we put sugar on the parchment so the cake doesn't adhere to it or fuse to the parchment. Then
Okay.
that is a mess. And after going through all that work, I don't want to lose it there.
True.
So I use either granulated or powdered. Today we used both because powdered was down, and I said, let's put some granulated because the cake is soft and tender, the fruit is fleshy and tender, the cream is really smooth. Just a little bit of grit from that sugar on the. I like that texture.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not.
Yeah.
Like I don't like peach skin. Okay, this
So
is
now
very
it's
close.
really thick.
Okay, so now I'm going to put some of this
How can I
magic
help
in
you?
there. And we'll just do it to taste.
Ooh, okay.
Yum.
Can you see, Maya?
No, I'm short.
Me too. But here, go ahead and peek inside so you can see. So you
Let's
added the
just
jam
check
with it.
I've added some.
Can
Do
I
you have-
taste now?
Yeah. You have some tasting spoons?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's just go.
Spoons?
Oh, we're gonna have taste test.
Yeah, why not?
Well, we have to know if it has enough or if it needs more sweetener or some more jam or we're going to make this the way we like it, not the way we saw it in a book or something like that or the way someone else likes it.
You have to, taste it first.
So what's the new jam that we had put in?
This one is
Red
Raspberry.
raspberry. We're doing a little mix.
lingonberry and raspberry, so it's a red fruits cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have mix of fruit too. So we'll add it all
That'd be
in.
nice.
Yeah. Oops. Maya, can you help me, please?
That happened to me, but I caught it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
let's get it.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's good.
Marcus, you're our taste tester.
Yeah,
Whatever you
that's
say
very
goes.
good, It's good.
All right, nicely
Okay,
done. Thanks,
so
Maya.
now-
I appreciate it.
We'll take some of the cream.
Where's your malfunction? All right, spreading the cream on. Okay, come on, guys, or come on around.
We don't want to put too much, otherwise the roulade will be as large as a plate.
Ooh, okay.
And when you
Can you
slice
see?
it, so now we're just going to spread this cream. And if you'll notice, the edges aren't perfect, but that's okay. And we'd
Okay.
usually trim the edges anyway. Oh, that looks nice with that fruit in there, huh?
Look at that.
It's a nice
Mixed
color
berry.
as well.
Well, a lot of European desserts are called with red fruits, fruits rouge.
The rouge.
I guess
Okay.
it's just the way they throw everything red together.
I like it. Whatever comes out of their garden, right? Maybe
Yeah.
off their bushes.
Okay, so now I'll just kind of take a little off. I always put more on than I think I need. It's easier to take it off than to keep dabbing. If you notice, I work the whole thing. I don't work a corner and then a corner. I'm always working the whole sheet at a time. I've had people in the bakeries when they begin, they will try to do this in sections,
Oh, yep.
and it's
Time consuming too, a bit, right?
futile.
Yeah.
And futile, not feudal. No serfs and lords there.
No.
Okay, so that's enough for this one.
Okay.
So now I'll just move this aside. I'm
Put
going
a lot on
to
the edge,
begin
yes.
with a. I
now
usually
we're
pull
rolling
this
it up.
close to me so I can let it bump up against me.
Can we help you in any way?
No.
All right. So you guys see the technique?
And so what I'm doing is
Using the
just
paper?
starting this roll by actually rolling. But now what I'm going to do is lift
Okay. Whoa.
and let it roll
It did itself.
this way.
So is there supposed to be that much space in between the rolls?
Well, it depends how much cream you put in there.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to grab the parchment here and roll it back
Okay.
and tighten it up.
And we get to eat this?
Of course. You ready for it?
Yeah.
I like to twist it
sad
off at the
face.
ends.
We'll get you something, Maya. Sorry.
And now we can refrigerate it.
Okay. Okay, guys, now it's ladyfinger time. So,
All right.
Chef, show us how to do that.
Okay, so I really love the ladyfinger preparation. I love the work. So we're going to put a bowl on. We're going to take the room temperature egg whites.
Okay. And do you whisk or a spatula with this?
A whip, or some people call it a whisk.
Okay.
I call it the whipping attachment.
It's a whipping attachment.
We will begin on slow speed, just like we did for the cake.
Okay. Okay, now we're whipping.
We're starting on slow speed, just like
Okay.
always. Right now, the egg white proteins are coiled. They're just mangled. They're a mess. And what we want to do is, by whipping them lightly, we straighten them out, and then they start lining up, and then they can link together and form that foam. And that's why we start slowly,
Okay.
because they are an unorganized mass.
Okay.
And we're organizing them by going slowly so they can link together.
Okay. Does that make sense, Maya?
It doesn't
Okay.
need to. It
I
works.
didn't mean to.
Does the car make sense to you? How
Yeah.
you can understand a combustion engine?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, well, explain it to me.
I don't know
Okay, a
cars.
combustion engine is a kind of engine. There we go.
That's
Okay,
next
so
to the
now
egg
we're
whites are whipping
starting
now.
to get frothy again. So its color is changing from neutral or clear to chartreuse.
Okay.
We're seeing bubbles form.
Can you see?
So I'm letting the eggs tell me when to turn it up. I'm not just making these arbitrary decisions.
You see at different layers and different colors, rather. And that's when you whip it
As
up.
I said before, it's a dance or it's a communication.
You're merengue with the meringue, right?
That's exactly right.
Meringue the dance? Merengue the dance? No.
So oopsie. Our ingredients are very simple. Flour, eggs, the eggs are split, vanilla, salt, and sugar.
Perfect. We're keeping it really simple today.
Okay, we're getting some foam. You can see it now. We'll turn it up and we'll gradually add the sugar.
Okay.
How come we don't need like milk or water?
How come we don't need any milk or water? That's a good question. How come we don't need any milk or water for these recipes?
It's formulated to not need it. I mean, you know, why don't you need any milk or water in a brownie? Use
You know?
eggs.
You don't use milk in brownies?
Eggs.
I thought you would.
You use eggs and butter.
Marcy, the liquid is
But butter, you could say, is milk.
and the vanilla extract.
It was at one time. It takes 32 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cream.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And
Because
cream is light.
22 pounds, not 32.
22 pounds. What was it?
Is cream not light? I mean, when you say,
well, some like heavy cream.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
when you say
All kinds.
Like-
Skim milk, 1%, blah, blah. And remember, milk is basically water, too.
True.
It's 88% water.
wow,
Do you guys know that?
I did not know that. No.
And then the rest is solids, like, whey and casein and
Calcium. Is there calcium? There's calcium in milk, yeah.
Say it again.
Calcium in milk, yeah.
Right. Calcium, vitamin, day,
Okay, you can see
and
this is
fortified.
beginning to get white. It's not quite glossy. There's still around the perimeter of the bowl, we can see it's wetter.
Okay.
And so that's getting worked in by the whip. And that's why these are called planetary mixers, because they don't just whip in circles, they whip in concentric or
Oh, the figure 8?
patterns.
Yeah.
Almost like
Infinity.
Yeah.
the loops.
Yeah.
If you have one-
Coils?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you can see it now. You can see the ridges beginning to form. There's
see
less
it, Maya?
water around the
Hold it.
edges. So continue adding sugar.
Okay. And like our fat today is egg yolks. So that's what
And
we're
again,
using.
egg yolks are just 50% fat.
Right. So,
Then they have protein, a little protein in there, lipoprotein, but then the rest of it is mostly water.
yes.
And
So,
what's the emulsifier? Lecithin.
look at you.
I have
Been a long time.
Me too. What is your question?
It's just another question.
Let's hear it.
How come it doesn't need any baking powder or baking soda?
Well, right. So it doesn't need. What's the properties of what does baking powder and baking soda do? Good question. So baking soda and baking powder, right? It's to lift the product, right? When you want a cake, you want it to expand more. So these cakes were not because, see, they're only as deep as the sheet pan. So because of that, we don't want it to get any bigger. Also, like Chef was saying earlier, the egg white, when it's being whipped, that's adding all the air.
Yeah.
So the air is kind of our expansion factor instead of needing baking soda and baking powder. Does that make sense? Good
If you
question.
can imagine a net holding water, that's what we call it, a foam, but it's almost like a net of air cells, just barely entrapped. These microfibers of egg protein that you can't even see. You just see the sheen.
When I was younger, I used to think that you would need baking powder and baking soda, or else the cake would stay liquid.
Well, that's why we have the flour,
Okay,
right?
all the sugar.
Yeah, but I
in there.
didn't. But like when I was younger, I'm saying like when I was
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And we learn. And plus, this is all new, like more and more science they're learning for baking and pastry too.
It's a lot of baking and it's all science.
Trial and error.
Science.
Science. All right. So we also have a
I
taping
said
bag
there's a
and
lesson in every bake. You just have to find it. I see a lot of people, something comes out good. Oh, look at me, it's great, it's great. They don't stop and focus or reflect on what made it so great. So they're not going to make it the same way next time. When they make a mistake, they'll, for a week, they're agonizing. Learn from success. We talk about learning from mistakes. That's a cop-out.
learn from success.
You can learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
But you can learn from success, and we never talk about that. We only talk about the mistakes as if we're granting permission to make mistakes.
That's good advice for the day. Thank you for that.
Well, as a teacher, you have to take that into account.
Yeah.
Oh, you always make mistakes.
Okay, let's check
We
this
do
foam.
always make mistakes.
We'll see how we are. And you know, what are we looking for?
Ooh,
That's
soft.
a droopy peak. Too soft,
Too
right?
soft, okay.
Let's go a little longer. But you can see the shine, the glossiness. I guess we could just say gloss.
The gloss. The fabulous gloss.
You can
Spinning
put some
around
on
like
your
a
lips.
wish. You're gonna get dizzy. Soft peak.
I'm going to go just a touch more.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a soft peak. It's a
is.
super soft peak.
It is super soft.
Too soft.
Super soft. So we
One
whip it a
more.
little bit more. And that's where patience comes in with baking, right?
Patience and also understanding, experience. The first time through this, you might not know. But 10 times, you might not know what's going on. You have to reflect on these things if you want to make it again and make it better. Just making it is not enough. Reflecting, taking notes. If you want to make it better every time. Okay,
Right.
so now
Softer peak.
that'll work.
Okay.
That's good.
It's not
It's a
dripping
little
off.
droopy there, but you can see right here is where it's really solid. I'm good with this. You know, when we say soft peak or anything, whip it to a full ribbon. There's a range of. It's not just like 360 degrees. You know, we might bake from an oven will go from 350 to 370 and back and forth. So there's a range for this too,
Okay.
of
that make
where we
sense?
can stop and how much we can whip it. Okay.
That makes
I'm
sense.
just going to do, this is a smaller batch, so I'm going to put the yolks in by hand
Okay.
this time.
Come on closer, Maya.
And I'm just going to break them up right here.
You see that?
And I'm going to give it a little stir. The
This
vanilla,
is a stir, not a fold, right?
well, it is a fold
It's a fold.
called a stir.
Okay.
Actually, I just want to break that yolk up a little and get that vanilla going.
Okay.
I am ready for the flour.
Okay.
This is a
Wanna help 'em
super
with the
nice meringue. Very slowly,
Wow.
please. It's almost better to push with one hand.
All right, I'll do it with the hand. How's that?
Good.
stop.
Stop. Cease. Halt. One more. Right in the center when you can get it. Good.
There you go.
Now, when I do this in the shop, we're using a bowl that's 20 times larger
Right.
than this. And we're using a big sheet pan of paper, and they're just pouring it very slowly while I'm doing this. And the spatula I'm using then is like a catcher's mitt.
Oh wow, that's big.
Yeah, it's big. It's a special one. More, please.
Okay.
And you can see
Tip
where
it a
the
little bit more in
meringue
the
is,
middle,
and you
yep.
see where the yolk is, and you see where the flour, how it's coming together. That's good. Down the middle, up the side, fold. Rotate down the middle, clean the side, fold. It's a little more difficult with
Good
the
little
hump
pattern.
in the bottom of this bowl. That's why sometimes
Oh.
every third or fourth one, I go down to the bottom in the center because
Makes a little pocket.
exactly. There's a cavity there, and it's
We're gonna keep
convex,
using it a little bit
and
more.
it traps everything.
I need to go wash my hand.
And that's
Oh, okay.
Why don't you lick it?
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, go
I
ahead.
die, Marcus.
okay. Hold on. Okay, in the center, please. A little more. That's good. Down the center. Up, clean the side. Fold. Rotate. Down the center. Clean the side. Fold. Down the center. Clean the side. Fold. And you can see how it's coming together. And that one side of the bowl is always just left like that. Okay, in the center. Down, clean, fold. So sometimes it falls, the flour falls in there, and then it takes a little more cleaning. That's why we're aiming for the center, but you have a small target here. Okay, more. Again, just every once in a while, just keeping this
Okay.
clean because it collects on here in different stages. And you can see, like on my hands, you can still see some meringue. I just want to stop and point out, like, look at this now.
It's thick.
It's stable.
It is stable.
Yeah. That's
Like a
the
stiff peak now.
miracle of the egg. Okay, more, right in the center.
Okay, that's the last of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, down the center, clean the side, fold. Down the center, clean the side, fold. Clean the sides all the way because we are coming to the end.
Want it all cohesive now.
Coalescing.
Coalesce it.
Coalescing.
Let me help with.
Okay, Victoria, I am going to need a
Yep.
hand. Okay, I'm going to tell you that is just,
Pretty.
that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way I like it. Okay, hold the bag so I can fill it, please.
Yep.
And again, we don't want to blow the air out of this, deflate this foam now. So I'm going to use one scraper to scrape it off the other scraper and just let it fall. I'm never going to mash it down in there. I'm never going to squeeze it. You can shake it a little to get it to go down. Be careful that you don't shake it out of the tip. And we never fill the bag more than 2/3. It depends what you're piping. If it's something stiff, don't go more than halfway. You'll end up with carpal tunnel.
Okay.
So clean the tip.
All right.
I'm going to come right in the corner.
Can you see Maya so you can see what to do? You
So
drag
what
it.
First
Kinda
one's
make
always a little
All the
rough.
fingers, yeah.
So it's a lady finger, right?
Why
Pipe.
are they called lady fingers? instead of
Okay,
just
there was the air
fingers?
pocket, so I just stopped. I'm not
okay.
going to try to fix that one. So now I'm going to lift the tip to this angle.
That's a good question, Maya.
And I want someone to answer it.
We already did.
We did?
So what I do when I get to the end, I stop squeezing, I cut down, and then back up.
Okay.
And that's what does it. The first few are always a little rough
Wonky.
for me.
Oh, this is an egg yolk.
Maya, to answer your question, I don't think I can. I don't know the history behind the lady finger.
Well, late 14th century in the Duchy of Savoy, they started making them.
Okay.
And you see how sometimes these pockets are like a little
Yolk.
thing will cause that. Now don't worry about it. These are not factory lady fingers. These are not Savoyardy. I'll show you something. It's easier to turn the tray around.
Yep.
They look like manly fingers.
Oh my God,
That's okay.
Maya.
They're not lady fingers, you're saying?
You know, one thing, I've looked up the origin of lady fingers. I cannot find the etymology of why it's one word. Okay, these
Now you need the
Powdered
powdered
sugar.
Thanks, Marcus. Sugar, sugar.
Yeah. Heavy coat.
Heavy coating on it.
Clean
Clean up.
in the sink.
Yeah, thank you.
We bake these hot and fast, 375. The sugar helps them stay set as well as giving them a nice little look and flavor.
Okay.
So put these in.
That's a lot of sugar. Lady finger time.
Here we go. They're too hot to handle. So what I'll
Alright.
do, I want to stop the cooking immediately.
Okay.
And you can do the same thing with cookies, is just slide the tray, get them onto the bench. That way they're not on a hot surface. Now, I was trained to turn the paper over, brush the paper with water so the steam would loosen the lady fingers.
Oh.
I was trained to do a lot of things that I don't do anymore.
Yeah, I never heard that.
But so I go at an angle, and I just loosen them all. So I can loosen 2 or 3 at a time.
Okay.
And I just let them gather right there because I don't want to start plating them. I want to cool them first.
Okay.
And you can see just how easily they release. That's from all that sugar. These are quite nice. They're not so beautifully shaped. And then we can just take them and arrange them on a plate for service. You can use them for dessert. I love to make.
Boosh.
They're so light as well. Very, very light.
Try one.
Our official taste tester.
Hold on,
Let us know what you think.
That's your job.
I'm gonna just put some.
Yummy?
Mm.
Good.
Good.
Yummy?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I know what that meringues. Yeah.
Now you feel the eeriness from the meringue. Is that what you're saying?
Do you like it? Can you describe
So we
to
can
me
just
what it tastes
build
like?
them up. You don't have to put them all on a tray, and you can serve them. I love to put like some fruit and sabayon in a wine glass, and just put a couple of lady fingers in there
yeah.
with it. I like soft, and
Perfect.
there we go.
All right.
Okay, let's plate up some of the roulade.
All right. All right. So now it's time for our cake plating.
Here we go. So we rolled it earlier. Now we've had it chilling for a little while.
Oh,
Wow.
Marcus, you're stoked for this now.
Oh, that looks good.
I'm just going to flip it. And you can see because we had the sugar, there's no sticking anywhere, and that's why it was able to roll. Now,
Okay.
there are different philosophies. Some people, I like the crunch on there and the sugar. Some people don't. So they will actually rub even that or even the crust off. Some people do it, some people don't. I normally
Sad about
don't.
The sugar leaving?
I'm doing it today for some reason. Okay, we can trim the end.
Okay.
I like a serrated knife when I have it.
Wow.
So,
Pretty, right?
okay, some people will cut it like this,
Straight down.
straight.
Okay.
And there we've got a nice dessert. But
Yeah.
other people will go on the bias.
Okay.
I need that
Get a
paper
little cake.
towel. We used to serve this a lot in the summer for luncheons, banquets or lunch on the terrace. We'll get this on the plate.
Pretty.
Maya, you want to garnish it?
Ooh, wait.
Want to decorate
I'll
with any
cut
of
some
the fruit?
banana. You put fruit on it and make it nice, okay?
You want
Just,
to
just this piece? Okay.
Let's move it towards the center, but not quite centered.
Okay, got it.
And we washed our hands, so we can go ahead and plate. And just some flour. That's some sugar. How would you like to design it?
Should we not peel?
Well, I'm going to peel it here, and that way you can take the rest home.
So we don't touch our face though when we're in the kitchen, right?
I wonder what this
I
is that
know.
I'm not going to use ever.
But it's just something to remember to tell people. When you are in the kitchen, when our hands are clean, they're clean. So we try not to touch anything else because then it's not sanitary anymore. I like all the colors you're doing. The reds, the greens.
Fix it where if someone were to eat it, they could go through the cake and pick up the fruit at the same time.
Ooh, that's a good
And to me, like, I would use the smaller pieces of fruit rather than a large kiwi, but it's okay. Leave it now, but in the future, you know, all the little smaller pieces are easier to pick up. The cut pieces.
Yeah.
Marcus, grab a plate.
Okay. I'm not complaining.
Not arguing either, right?
Any plate that works for you, Marcus.
A nice blue one that doesn't match the color.
Okay. Oh,
Get
all
a
good.
fork or a spoon and tell me what you think.
Do you prefer a fork
And a knife.
and a knife? Okay.
I'm
Beautiful.
gonna eat it properly.
Good manners. Yes, you do.
Oh, that's really nice.
Love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're hired. Come back tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Then
wash
we
my
clean.
hands.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay, so we can put this,
Perfect.
and then we'll get the lady fingers.
We are quite having some
Put all
nice
the
desserts.
fruit around it, maybe.
I'm gonna take a bite.
All right,
Okay,
let us
here
know
we
what
go.
you think.
It's very good.
Okay. That's a relief.
We did well. Good job, team, with the elbows. All right.
Okay.
Well, Maya and Marcus, I'm so glad you guys were here to learn this with me with Chef Stam, so thank you. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Marcus did.
Look at all that cake.
We can freeze and have some for time to go. All right, well, thanks guys for joining me for Fabulous Foods, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Yep.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.